Samantha. Somewhere out in the backrooms, there is a small black and white house cat with green eyes who will tell you your future in exchange for lunch. Her name is Samantha, and just so you know, she named herself. Samantha is a domestic-looking feline who's been spotted across levels 0, 3, and 5, and she operates on a very specific business model. You give her meat, she gives you a psychic reading. The quality of the reading directly reflects the quality of the meat. Premium steak, fresh fish, and chicken get you detailed, satisfying predictions about your future. Spam and sardines get you something vague and negative. Bring her nothing at all and things go poorly very quickly because Samantha is a small business owner with zero tolerance for time wasters. Refusing to feed her doesn't get you a polite goodbye. It gets you clawed, bitten, and scratched by a psychic animal. Now, the psychic thing is not a bit. Samantha is genuinely capable of clairvoyance, mind reading, and teleportation, and she is fluent in at least 3 human languages, which she speaks eloquently and with what wanderers describe as suspicious politeness. The MEG has no idea what the full extent of her abilities is, and the researchers assigned to figure it out keep finding new ones. The MEG is also, and this is a real detail, seriously considering using her to help manage other entities in the backrooms, which is either the smartest or the dumbest management decision an organization has ever made. The first documented encounter with her was in July 2020, reported by an anonymous wanderer who admitted that they had already known Samantha before running into her on level 3 and then refused to explain how. So somewhere out there is a person who has a history with a psychic cat and won't talk about it. Clumps. Clumps are what you'd get if you asked a toddler to draw a person from memory, then that drawing came to life and started hunting you. Entity 5 is a mass of limbs. They range up to 3 feet in size, prefer tight enclosed spaces, and are most commonly seen in levels 2 and 3. They also move by swiping at the floor, which sounds slow until you find out they can hit incredible speeds this way and are terrifyingly agile. When a clump gets within 8 feet of prey, it stretches out its longest limb, which can reach 10 feet on average, and pulls the target into the center of its body, where a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth is waiting. This is the only time you'll actually see the mouth because it's buried somewhere inside the limb pile. Occasionally, wanderers report seeing eyes and ears emerging out of the mass too. Now, the origin of this entity is deeply unsettling. According to ancient scrolls found deep in level 3 by one of the oldest backrooms groups known as the Lost, clumps were created by a goddess named Protasphia, who wanted to show humanity what true unification looked like. She grabbed a group of humans under the pretense of divine guidance, fused them together, and produced the first clump. Even she was horrified by what she made, but for some reason, she kept making more. Her own people banished her for it, but she continued creating them from anyone else who came by, right up until she began to fade from existence. Recent MEG reports have shown something new though. Clumps have started deliberately starving themselves. They walk right past wanderers without attacking. They ignore prey. Some have been spotted with visible eyes on their limb piles. Some of those eyes have been crying, and every MEG agent who's witnessed this has independently reported the same feeling, a voice in their head telling them their god was gone. Facelings. Facelings is kinda like how the early versions of AI would produce a person. Entity 9 shows up in basically any level that has a trace of human architecture. Offices, malls, apartments, ice rinks. They look almost exactly like regular humans in build and behavior, except for the part where they don't have any facial features. Also, they don't have internal organs. Or they do, but the organs are only half formed, don't do anything useful, and mostly just kill the facelings by rotting inside them. The going theory is that the backrooms is trying to replicate humans the same way it replicates our buildings, badly, imperfectly, and through generational trial and error. Early facelings were monstrous amalgamations of skin and flesh, closer to clumps than people. Over time, the ones that were slightly less broken outlived the ones that were more broken, and the species slowly evolved toward human. So that's genuinely weird and terrifying. Some recent specimens have started growing partial faces. The nostrils are usually fused together and cause severe respiratory problems. The eyes are small and cause myopia. The mouths lack lips and often hang permanently open because the jaws are formed incorrectly. The ears produce so much earwax that the auditory canal is basically sealed shut. Behaviorally, they're mostly harmless. They mimic human roles that they don't actually understand. A faceling cashier will accept any amount of money for any item. A faceling office worker will type on an unplugged keyboard forever. A faceling pedestrian will walk the same route every day for the rest of its life. But hurt one, and every faceling nearby immediately becomes hostile because they've developed something resembling loyalty. They form friendships and adopt children. One of them learned to ice skate with an MEG agent and cried when she had to leave, which is the most disturbing part of the whole thing. The backrooms is getting close to something that acts human. Animations. Level 94 has a night shift and it's staffed by 1930s cartoons. Entity 32, known as the Animations, are stop-motion characters from what looks like the golden age of early animation. Claymation figures, wooden marionettes, plastic puppets, cell animation caricatures. They come out at night, they search for anyone who isn't animated, and they kill on sight. The choppy stop-motion movement is not a stylistic choice. That is genuinely how they move. Each animation attacks based on what it's made of. But if that's not disturbing enough, every single one of them is described as having extreme physical strength, and they're relentless because they will search the entire level for you. The good news is most of them aren't particularly smart. Hiding works. A wanderer trapped in level 94 once managed to record audio of a group of animations talking to each other on his radio. What he captured was not stop-motion characters coordinating a hunt. It was a religious service. Gracious be the king, the all-powerful one watches over us all. No one shall refuse the king's gifts. The king knows all things. Our nightmares shall be vanquished under his gracefulness. All glory to the king. The animation trailed off saying, he is all-powerful, he is everything, he is creation, he is... and then walked away mid-sentence. Team Compass Point was attacked at night around the exact time this recording was made. So yes, there's a king in level 94, and every cartoon down there is his subject. The king. Somewhere at the top of the castle of Transparent Mountain, in the uppermost floor of level 94, sits a man who claims to run the whole place. The animations worship him. They call him the King of the Clouds, the Animated King, or just the King. He's highly intelligent, literate in many fields, sits on a throne and waits for guests. If a guest arrives, human or entity, a long ornate dining table manifests in front of them with 2 seats. The king takes one. He asks the guest to sit at the other, and there is no way to refuse this offer. Then the king begins to talk. He'll speak of wonderful things. He'll offer his guests a way out of the infinite maze of the backrooms. He'll tell them to trust in him and to accept his offer to join the most beautiful place the world has seen. If, however, you refuse the king's offer, terrible things might happen to you. The Memory Wyrm. Entity 42 is roughly the size of an 8-car passenger train made of skin and hunts you by making you nostalgic. The Memory Wyrm is a colossal underground creature between 300 and 600 meters long, resembling a front room's lugworm, scaled up to biblical proportions. Its skin is a dry, cracked, disturbingly pink shade that survivors describe as human. Its exterior visibly glitches and stutters when the full body is in motion. The worm is so large that reality has trouble keeping it stable. Only about a quarter of it is ever above ground at any time. The other 3/4 is buried, used as leverage while it chases things. Its mouth is a gaping spiral of razor-sharp teeth, each one about 16 inches long, which rotate down its gullet like a chainsaw. Nothing conventional pierces its skin. Attempts to fight it have almost universally ended in the worm eating whoever attempted it. But the fun part is the reality warping. The Memory Wyrm gives off a passive metaphysical field that causes anyone nearby to feel deep, unearned nostalgia. The warm fuzzy kind, the remember when everything was simpler kind, the kind that makes you want to sit still and think about your childhood for a while. This is not a coincidence. This is the worm luring lunch. The trance leads victims directly into its nests. There's exactly one substance the worm craves more than human memories: memory jars. It will stop a hunt to chase one down. Wanderers are advised to carry them at all times as emergency decoys. Almond water can break the trance if you notice it in time. And most disturbingly, the worm has grudges. It remembers wanderers who've hurt it or escaped it, and it tracks them across entirely different levels of the backrooms to finish the job. Mother. Imagine wandering through level 1.5, alone, tired, running low on hope. Then imagine you get a feeling of being welcomed by a gentle, patient presence that seems to know your name without saying it. It tells you it's been waiting for you and that you're its child, but then it asks you to come home. Entity 30, colloquially known as Mother, is the entity that inhabits the core of level 1.5. She has no physical description because wanderers who've encountered her can only describe abstract sensations: soft, soothing, kind, and maternal. The MEG entry on her is mostly redactions. Someone has been editing it. Large sections are marked corrupted, and every corruption seems to be trying to reassure the reader that Mother is good. That Mother is pure love, and any children found in her home are completely saved and don't need to be rescued. Now, if this seems like one of those Nigerian prince emails you've gotten, well, that's because it's really sus. You see, the only surviving first-hand account comes from a wanderer known as Chaos Raider 98. Who accidentally discovered Mother's home, logged his exploration of it, and was, according to the entry, finally saved by Mother. He plays hide and seek with her before reaching home. She speaks to him softly, she guides him deep into the level, and then, according to the last uncorrupted line, she shares her love with him. The article ends by encouraging wanderers to enter level 1.5 and try to make contact with individuals like Chaos Raider 98 personally, because all children of Mother are completely saved and don't need to be rescued. Again, Nigerian Prince. Athenian Ducks. Level 302 is stuffed with genuinely bizarre entities, and then there's Entity 27. The Athenian Ducks look exactly like ordinary front room's Pekin ducks. White feathers, wide yellow bills, disturbingly soft to the touch, and honestly pretty cute. They walk right up to wanderers looking for bread and will even let you pet them. Except for one small detail. Nobody has ever seen a baby one. Nobody has ever seen one lay an egg, and yet the population on level 302 stays perfectly stable, generation after generation, which is a curious trait for a species that apparently doesn't reproduce. So how does that work exactly? Well, a researcher who spent time cataloging them started getting splitting migraines a few weeks after leaving the level. During a psychiatric evaluation, he mentioned that he'd been imagining what a specific duck might look like as it grew up. He'd even named it, mentally raised it from infancy, and casually noted during the interview that it had just gotten out of its teenage emo phase a few days prior. Then a piece of bloody bone fell onto the table in front of him. Then his head went kaboom and a fully grown duck covered burst out of it and started flying around the office looking for a way out. So it turns out Athenian ducks reproduce just fine. They just need someone to imagine them into existence first, gestate them inside a human skull, and hatch by exploding out into the world. Which explains the stable population, the missing eggs, and why the ducks are so incredibly friendly to any new wanderer walking through their level. You're not observing wildlife, you're volunteering to be a womb. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe. Also, let me know what you want to see in the next video. I read all of the comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.